Morning students, today I am going to take satellite communication and trade. Last class I completed communication. Before that, population and transport over. India population, transport, communication over. Today I am going to take trade, satellite communication and trade. Geography unit 5. Students, I am going to complete this lesson today. Tomorrow onwards I am going to take new lesson. Okay, listen here carefully students. Satellite communication. Satellite communication is one of the important process in our country. The satellite communication getting continuous and synaptic view, larger area. It is covered the larger area, and satellite communication getting continuous and synaptic view in that particular area. It is satellite communication is used vital in our country. It plays a vital role in our country. The satellite communication used for weather forecasting, natural calamities, border area, etc. These areas are weather forecasting were calculated through the satellite communication, and natural calamities. Calamities means disasters. If any disasters occurs in that area, the synaptic view were taken through the satellite communication. And border areas. The border areas is that with the surrounding our country, border areas, it is taken the synaptic view through the satellite communication. Satellite communication established of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, Indian Space Research Organization, known as ISRO, in 1969. 1969, it was ISRO was established, and then the ISRO, the satellite communication, divided into two kinds. One is INSAT. INSAT means Indian National Satellite Communication, and IRS, Indian Remote Sensing Organization, Satellite Communication, Indian Remote Sensing Satellite Communication, known as IRS. INSAT means Indian National Satellite Communication, known as INSAT, and IRS. Noted. The INSAT established in 1983. INSAT was is a development of multi-purpose system of telecommunication, meteorological observations, and also television, and telephone, and video, mobile phones. These are all used for relaying signal through the satellite communication. Yes, INSAT established 1983. It was used for multi-purpose system of telecommunication, meteorological observation, television, telephone, video, mobile phone. These are all used for relaying signals. In the 30th August 1983, on the 30th August 1983, first satellite communication, INSAT, was established. Indian National Satellite Communication were established. Noted. Trade. Trade is the process of economic growth in our country, the total number of development, goods and services, the industries is there, and agricultural area is there. The farmers produce more and more products. After harvesting, these goods goes to market. Finally, it was calculated. GDP were calculated. The GDP were calculated in the final of end of the year. It is our development of economic growth in our country. It is calculated for economic growth of our country. Trade is one of the buying and selling of goods and services, one place to another. Trade is one of the primitive man used for barter system. Early days, barter system only followed. Barter system means what? Exchange of goods were known as barter system. The primitive man used the barter system only, have greater influence during that time. Later, money were play a vital role for the goods and services. Exchange of goods. Money plays a vital role after barter system. There are two kinds of difference of value is there. The difference of value is that there are two kinds difference of value. If the export goods and services of the export increased and goods and services of the import decreased, means the favorable balance of trade. Favorable balance. The balance of trade means what? The exchange of goods and services, export and import were known as balance of trade. The favorable balance of trade, what do you know about the favorable balance of trade, students? If the export increase, goods and services of the export increase and import decrease, means favorable balance of trade. For example, India, more and more production, paddy growing area. We are exporting more and more paddy to other countries. Instead of, we are getting other goods and services in our country, imports in our country. So, if the export increase, goods and services of the export increase and import decrease, it is favor for us. So, it is one of the favorable balance of the trade. In opposite, if the export decrease, we are exporting less production to other countries, and instead of, we are importing other goods and services from the foreign countries, means less export and higher import, means it is an unfavorable balance of trade. Understood, student? Favorable balance of trade. If the export increase, import decrease, means favorable balance of trade. If the export decrease and import increase, means unfavorable balance of trade. Noted. Next, types of trade. The trade were divided into two. One is the internal trade. Second one is the international trade. Internal trade and international trade. Internal trade carried the goods and services within a domestic territory is known as internal trade or local trade. Note it, or domestic trade within a geographical area known as internal trade. For example, within a country, in our country, India, within the goods and services sold one place to another, means that is known as domestic trade or internal trade. Within a country, we are export and import were met within a country. That is known as internal trade. And international trade means what? International trade, goods and services export one country to another. It is known as international trade. So, listen, internal trade, for within a domestic territory, the goods and services were sold, means internal trade, and it is also known as local trade or domestic trade. The land transport were used for internal trade. Land transport only used within a country, the land transport were used. The internal trade mostly used for local currency. Only the local currency were used for internal trade. International trade. International trade, the goods and services export two or more countries. Two or more countries known as international trade or foreign trade. The export and import play the vital role in the international trade. There are two components of the international trade. Export and import were known as two components of the international trade. In the international trade, the foreign currency were used for goods and services. The foreign currency were used brought from overseas. Overseas productions brought from overseas means that is foreign trade. In the international trade, mainly the transport were used for airways and waterways. Airways and waterways plays a vital role for foreign trade, international trade. Yes, waterways and airways were used. Next, bilateral trade. What is about bilateral trade? Within a two country, export and import were made, known as bilateral trade. Within a two country, the goods and services, exchange of goods and services within a two country known as bilateral trade. Next, multilateral trade. Multilateral trade means what? More than two countries, export and import were continued means that is known as multilateral trade. More than two countries, the exchange of goods and services, export and import were made. That is known as multilateral trade. Noted, students. Next, exports. In India, more and more goods and services were exported to other countries. Instead of we are getting other goods as the exchange of goods or money, we can get from foreign countries. Mainly, the goods and services are to export other countries: tea, ores, minerals, jewels, sports goods, chemicals, paper, etc. These are all we are exporting to other countries. More and more goods and services were exported to other countries by our country. And imports. We are imported from other foreign countries. The goods and services are petroleum products, pearls, precious stones, gold, and telecom instruments. These are all we are importing from other countries. Now, listen here carefully, students. Once again, I am going to recall satellite communication. Satellite communication is one of the continuous and synaptic view is known as satellite communication. It is covered the vast area in our country. It is playing satellite communication plays a vital role in our country. It is used for weather forecasting, natural calamities, border area, etc. The satellite communication in India was established of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, in 1969. The satellite communication divided into two. One is INSAT and other one is IRS, Indian National Satellite Communication and Indian Remote Sensing Satellite Communication. The INSAT is established in 1983. Indian National Satellite Communication, established in 1983. The satellite communication is one of the multi-purpose system of telecom communication, meteorological observation, television, telephone, video, and mobile phone, used for relaying signals. Then it was established in 30th August 1983 The first satellite communication INSAT was established in our country. 30th August 1983. First satellite communication INSAT was established in our country. Note. Trade. The trade is one of the major occupation in our country. It is a process of establishing the economic growth in our country. The trade is mostly buying and selling of the goods and services, known as trade. The primitive man used for barter system. Pandamatu murai. Barter system. Barter system is what? What? Exchange of goods. That are known as barter system. The primitive man used the barter system initially. After that, later they used money for export and import. The difference of export import, goods and services sent to other countries, and we can get import other goods in our country. The value is different. The value is known as balance of trade. Difference of value is known as balance of trade. There are two balance of trade is that. One is favorable balance of trade and another one is unfavorable balance of trade. Balance of trade means what? If the goods and services export, more and more goods and services export, instead of we can import less goods and services, known as favorable balance of trade. Otherwise, if the export decrease, less goods and services only exported to other countries, instead of we can import more and more goods and services from other countries, means that is unfavorable balance of trade. Note. Types of trade. Types of trade divided into two. One is internal trade, another one is international trade. Internal trade means what? The trade carried on within the domestic territory, known as internal trade. Yes, it is also called domestic trade or local trade. The internal trade mostly used for land transport. Local transport, land transport only used for internal trade. And the local currency only used for internal trade. International trade. Two or more countries, export and import were made two or more, in between the two or more countries, known as international trade. Exchange of goods. Two or more countries were known as international trade or foreign trade. The export and import were two important components. Is that the foreign currency were used for international trade, for the goods and services. Instead of we can get foreign currency from other countries. International trade, import during the time of import brought from overseas productions. And airways, waterways plays a vital role for the international trade. Carried the goods and services one country to another. Next one, bilateral trade. Within a two country, export and import were exchange of goods within a two country were known as bilateral trade. Bi means two. And multilateral trade, more than two countries. Exchange of goods more than two countries were known as multilateral trade. Noting. Then exports. India, more and more goods and services were exported to other countries, especially tea, ores, minerals, jewels, sports goods, chemicals, paper, etc. And other goods also exported to other countries by India. And imports. India imports more and more goods and services from other countries, particularly petroleum products, pearls, precious stones, gold and telecom instruments. These are all imported from other countries. Okay then, students, completed this lesson, learn carefully, then we will continue.